power meltdown in T-180 seconds.
Warning. Hyperjump protocol has been initiated. Prepare for hyperjump in T-60 seconds. Warning, warning. All engines are destroyed. Please prepare for self-destruct in T-minus 120 seconds.
Was completely underwhelming, frustrating, or simply not good.
With that said, on a grading scale of A to F, I give Star Fox 0 a solid not very good. That's where the deathy aftertaste came from. Hey y'all, Scott here. Food, shelter, love, air, happiness. None of these played Mario Party 6, so I lost interest at Hey y'all, Scott here. The GameCube was one of Nintendo's worst-selling home consoles, which is a fact I'm trying to get redacted from Wikipedia, because in my opinion, the GameCube deserves so much more, and dare I say it, was Nintendo's best home console.
Look at this sucker. The GameCube definitely looked different from its competitors. The controller even decided to go for a funk-riddled design. These buttons just look like they're up to something. I think the GameCube's design is really indicative of what Nintendo was trying to go for this generation. A pretty standard game console with a Nintendo twist. Like, a lot of the GameCube is pretty standard when you get down to it, but little bits in here remind us that it's Nintendo. The GameCube's biggest drawback was the mini DVD-like proprietary disc. These simply couldn't hold as much information as the Xbox or PS2, and thus, third-party games were lacking in comparison. The controller may seem odd to outsiders, but don't be fooled, this is an excellent controller. For 3D games, it's fantastic. For 2D games, however, it falls a little flat. The D-pad here is not too hot, and if you're trying to play SNES games on the Wii Virtual Console, running and jumping in Super Mario World is impossible due to the placement of Y and B. The SNES was all about perfecting the types of games we saw on the NES, taking what worked and multiplying it exponentially. If the NES was the golden age of 2D games, the SNES was perfecting the golden age. The GameCube is basically the same thing, but for 3D games. The Nintendo 64 introduced the world to Nintendo franchises in 3D, but of course, being the first ROM in a 3D space for Nintendo, most games came with a complementary side of jank. The GameCube perfected the 3D Nintendo games. What the SNES did after the NES, the GameCube did after the N64. The GameCube is remembered by me as the console that housed the most main Nintendo franchises, as future consoles infamously skipped some franchises, such as Metroid on the Wii U and Star Fox on the Wii. The GameCube had Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Star Fox, F-Zero, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Fire Emblem, Pokemon, and introduced the world to Pikmin, Chibi Robo, Custom Robo, and Animal Crossing in the West. I think the most blatant omission of the GameCube's first-party library was the traditional Kirby game, but we did get Kirby Air Ride, and multiple Kirby games were planned but ultimately scrapped with GameCube, with one being reworked into Kirby's Return to Dreamland years later on the Wii. That library, though, it makes me squeal yikes in the best possible way. So many great franchises that appeared on the console. They were like older games, but with a twist. Mario Sunshine is like Mario 64, but with FLUDD, the water pack, allowing for all kinds of different platforming possibilities. Metroid Prime was like the old Metroid games, but in first person. Wind Waker was like the past 3D Zelda games, but now with a cartoony cel-shaded style. This mentality even oozed into the launch of the system, where the GameCube, like all Nintendo consoles before it, launched with a game from the Mario series. But not a Mario game. It was a Luigi game set in a haunted mansion. The GameCube took beloved franchises and put a fun, unique spin on them, making them feel different and new, but not taking away from what made them great to begin with. That's what I love about the GameCube. Not only does it have an insane library of great Nintendo games, but they are all unique entries in their respective franchises. So all the games released on the GameCube have their own feel. When you look at the games released on the Wii U, so many are just sequels to Wii or 3DS games. They don't really feel like they're doing their own thing. The GameCube has its own feel to the game, and I love that about it. And of course, the quality of the games on the system were of the utmost variety. So many of the games released on this thing were considered the cream of the crop in their series. Super Smash Bros. Melee is still played by millions, and is one of the most popular esports out there. Wind Waker is often considered overlooked, but I consider it to be an incredibly popular pick for the favorite Zelda game. It was obviously shunned before and a little bit after release, but nowadays, I see so many people refer to it as their favorite, and while I've only played about 5 hours of it, I love what I play. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door has a solid hour of appreciation from fans every day, especially after the recent Paper Mario games. Many consider it to be the best of the best. F-Zero GX is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of the series. The fact that the franchise basically died here, other than a few GBA games released afterwards, I'm almost okay with, because this is the magnum opus of the F-Zero series. Fast, fun, and wicked difficult, GX is the ultimate F-Zero game. Pikmin 1 and 2, oh my god, the Pikmin franchise is one of the most underappreciated Nintendo franchises. Sadly, I have yet to play Pikmin 2, but Pikmin 1 and 3 on the Wii U are the epitome of sublime. The GameCube games are fantastic, and the Wii versions are excellent as well, adding the pointer functionality of the Wii Remote making throwing Pikmin a bit quicker and more precise, but the GameCube games get points for being the originals. The Mario Sports games were firing at all cylinders during the GameCube era. All major Mario Sports series got entries on the system, and they were some of the best out there. But Mario Sunshine, oh boy, what a game! I really want an HD remake of this game a la Wind Waker HD, sooner than later. It's far from perfect and could use some tightening up here and there, but Mario Sunshine is wonderful regardless. And Mario Kart Double Dash, easily the coolest, most unique Mario Kart to date. Having 2 characters per kart allows for so many gameplay possibilities, like co-op and special items. It has great battle mode and even offered land play. I don't know if I like Double Dash or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe more, but Double Dash is easily a monumental installment in the series. Nintendo also dabbled in the M-rated game space with the cult classic Eternal Darkness and Guides. Third-party support on the GameCube, I'd argue, was okay. Definitely not the greatest out there, but better than other Nintendo systems, definitely. Nintendo actually collaborated with a few third parties, allowing them to use their characters to beef up the lineup. Of course, that included Soul Calibur 2, featuring Link, NBA Street V3 and SSX on Tour, featuring Mario, Peach, and Luigi, and Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. This game used to be rather expensive due to being discontinued quickly after release for some reason, but due to not many giving a darn and a half about DDR anymore, it's pretty easily obtainable nowadays, and I'd recommend it. It's an odd bugger of a game, but a really cool one. This beautiful tumor of an add-on is the Game Boy player, and it's one of the biggest reasons to own an original GameCube console, just because you can play all GameCube games on most Wii models, but only the GameCube can use the Game Boy player. This wasn't the first time Nintendo allowed fans to play Game Boy games on its TV, however, they released a conceptually similar product for the SNES, the Super Game Boy, and a later revised Super Game Boy 2, released only in Japan, adding link cable functionality. I think the Super Game Boy is cooler personality-wise, as you can do a ton of fun stuff with the borders, but the Game Boy player will always reign supreme, as it plays nearly all Game Boy games. While other Nintendo systems ooze sheer greatness, I think the GameCube has a certain charm that cannot be overlooked. It's the best Nintendo system in my opinion, with the most great Nintendo games.
The GameCube is my favorite Nintendo console, and I hope it maintains its amazing legacy. Of course, it got absolutely pounded by the PS2 and less so the original Xbox, but I think it was better than those systems retrospectively. Those systems are still great, but I see less people looking back as fondly on those systems as the GameCube. GameCube's like Van Gogh. It really started to get recognition after its death, and the PS2 and original Xbox are more so like gods. Popular at the time, not as loved these days.
Congratulations! That was the first use of that analogy ever!
Hey y'all, Scott here, and extra, read all about it. E3 2017 looms. Turns out the newspaper industry was struggling so hard they let virginity reign supreme, and now we're getting front page headlines like this now.
As a fan of the video game industry, E3 is one of the greatest times of the year. Even though they're referred to as press conferences, the presentations at the start of the show are so much more than that. Events like CES have press conferences, but it never feels like the companies are trying to win the event. At E3, all the companies are trying to one-up each other, which leads to jaw-dropping announcements nobody saw coming, or announcements to appease fans everywhere. However, E3 back in the day was more so CES, but for games. E3 1995 was the first show held in the event's history, taking place from May 11th to the 3rd.
My new electric wheelchair.